I was doing case that president Andre Ewell, who returns next. Fuck, I fucked that up.
Hey, you're good. Keep it. I say keep it. Buff it. Hey, 100% keep that. Cause I promise you, I'll be doing the same thing. So now, hey, now this interview just became my favorite already.
I was doing case that president Andre Ewell, who returns to action next Friday against Charles Jourdain. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Definitely, and the best intro I ever had in my life. I started off laughing, guys. So, hey, yeah, I cannot argue and take that away. Hey, best interview so far. I promise you.
Yeah, fuck that one up. How many times have you been called Andre Ewell in your life?
Man, from the beginning, I'll go ahead and it started at preschool. Yeah, it got to the moment where you just said, you know what, it is what it is. Like, I know you're trying, so and then it's like I know a lot of people get pissed off or upset and they be like, all right, let me change it. But when you hit a limit, like I have a limit. My limit passed like all the way up in the beginning of high school. And it'd be like, ooh, Ewell, E, and then they'll try to mash it together. And it's like, you know what? Hey, I know you're trying and I know you ain't trying to do it disrespectfully. So it's like, it's 100% cool with me. As long as I know who you're talking to, especially if it's a one-on-one, I know you're talking to me. So it's cool,
Yeah, no, for sure. I relate to that because I have a last name that gets butchered all the time. So I couldn't imagine. And you get talked to 7 million more times more than me. So I get it. I get it. I saw a picture of you and your son on Instagram with the caption, "This is a vibe for life." What do you mean by that?
I can end up digging really deep, but I'll give you guys the short version, as in vibes, as in me being a father. Because, me being Eli's father, which is his older brother and my oldest son, I didn't get that. I didn't get to be there. And yeah, I'm his dad, but not the father part, And I tried to work, and everybody that been following me from the gate kind of know the issues and situations, and they know that it's something that's been sitting heavily on me, on my heart and everything. And it's like, it ended up breaking, and people that do know what happened end up breaking to the moment that I end up attempting suicide type thing, failed. So, hey, so it's something, something good get that came out pretty well. It's like, hey, guys, I failed. So clearly, because I'm still here, but it changed everything around, and then it's like, I understand that people that do love me tell me don't do it again. And, I kept that and held that in as a promise to them and a promise to myself, as in the constant keep fighting. So when my new boy was born and everything, June, he actually gave me that hope, because my first son, Eli was my faith, because, I know where my faith was at, and he gave me faith, and that got taken away. And then when I wanted to end everything and all that other stuff, I went into fighting, and it changed my world. And then my boy was born, and that became the hope that I needed. And, anybody that ends up feeling like they start crying right now, because, hey, I want to be there right now. But yeah, so it was that vibe, it's hope, as in, I'm down 2 fights at this moment, and I got to end up making that a change with this next fight next week with Jourdain. So it's the vibe of good hope, and something that's going to end up changing, and it's going to be for the better, that I'm there for him. And say, I got my alarm for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had an alarm for you. All right. But yeah, so that's what it is. That type of vibe. It's we'll go ahead and say the new hope. Just like Star Wars, the last hope or New Hope. Again, how it was intertwined of how they placed it in, but there it is. That's me and my boy.
I like that. Like, man, yeah, that's some heavy shit, man. I want to go over there and give you a hug. And
I appreciate that. Air up, man. Air up.
I got you. Yeah, I know you've talked about it several times, but when you were fighting Chris Gutierrez, and Anik brought up your struggle with that, I mean, when you watched it back, I guess, were you at all annoyed that he brought it up, or were you, I guess, kind of happy that he even brought it to light, I guess?
Definitely happy. Because I know John Anik is an awesome person, when you end up talking to him on the outside, The dude is human, no matter how you end up looking at it, you know. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, that's you know, it was wrong for him and whatnot. But in reality, it was a situation that needed to be brought up. And John did that. He made that step. And I know where his heart was at. And it's nothing but respect and love to that guy, because John is basically John. John's awesome, you know, because you don't have that many people that would speak on it. Like, you know, when I'm being interviews, no one really wants to ask. You know, I just kind of just bring it up, and then they'll start going at it. Like right now, you just asked me, and, you know, it wasn't like, hey, I brought it up. It was kind of like, hey, tell me about the vibes. I got to bring it up, you know, and John just brought it to light where it needed to be. And, you know, and I understand, like, Chris, he didn't like it. And I know other people was like, oh, it's a low blow. But, you know, anything can get directed anywhere. And all it takes is one person to say, hey, that's fucked up, and everything else will follow suit in that. And some people will be like, no, just like my last loss. A lot of people ended up saying that was the wrong call, like, you know, for them to call it early. But you also had the other ones, well, fighter safety, da 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 da, you know, like, you know, everybody's gonna always have a different opinion when it comes to a lot of things. I felt like it was early. People that believe in me know that was early. People that end up watching, knowing that this is what we do, was early. But then you have that one voice that says, nah, it's cool. You know, at the end of the day, the winner is gonna hold the hand up and be happy as hell. So it doesn't really matter. You know, the best way we can do is just don't put ourselves in you know, in those situations. So nothing but points, and shout out to John. That's my friend right there.
That's awesome, and that's I didn't know that, and that's awesome that you and John kind of have that connection. So I think the big story of this fight, I think everyone knows the big story, is your move up to featherweight. And I know that most people know that you cut a lot of weight to get down to bantamweight. How much weight did you cut?
I was cutting close to 30 pounds just to get to 35. Yeah, it was hectic. And then I know a lot of people have different ways and versions of cutting weight, but the way that I had to cut was only how I was going to make it. But then, you know, you end up opening up the door and start talking to other people. Like there's a guy named Charles that's in the UFC that works on all this stuff. And, you know, shout out to him. I should have ended up using him a lot earlier. And maybe the 35 would be a lot easier. But, you know, when you're custom and used to one thing, you kind of like stick with it, you know. I tried to do the water load in one of my old fights at King of the Cage versus Willie Gates. And when I did that, I didn't like that. I had to cut early in that morning for the weigh-ins, and I had to jump in this like bathtub. So true story. It was like a burrito bath where they put hot waters, and some put like ramen noodles, you know, in there where it soaks, and you put like towels over the tub, and you just sit there. And I was up in there dying. When I say dying, like my hands became like ET, and I'm folding in, right? And it was so sad that, so the coach ends up walking away. And this is Merle Miller. So he walks away because we're at his house. He walks away as I'm in there. Basically left me in the tub for 5 minutes by myself. And for 5 minutes, I was trying to get out the tub, and I could not get out the tub. So, so I was sitting here. I basically gave up on life that night, all right? So, or that morning, I literally gave up on life. Thinking I was like, oh shit, this is how I'm gonna die. Like, you know, I'm fucking, you know. And after that, so clearly I didn't die again. So, so, you know, after that, I ended up telling him, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing water load. I'm not gonna do the bath. I'm just gonna basically do the wrestler's route type of deal, you know. But mine was shedding and tapering, getting low, you know, as the days go by. And I was used to it, but that was when my body was like kind of, you know, young and everything. But now it's like I'm getting older. And since the older age is kicking in, 45 is perfect. I don't have to do, you know, cut so much weight. So that 30 became like 15 to 20. And, you know, and I normally sit around like 54 when I'm like in shape, fight shape, you know. So, and to top it off, I don't have to end up throwing up and all that other stuff. I was throwing up to make weight. I was doing everything I could possibly make it to 35, you know, and then at the same time, still doing my conditioning and trying to, you know, spar. And yeah, so it's basically, I'm very relieved to honestly move up weight, make it more of a home thing for me.
Hindsight's always 2020, but do you think that the gnarly weight cut affected your past performances?
I'll say definitely. And it's more of a, you're a more of like a impact type fighter, meaning like I'm waiting, and at 45, that's what you're supposed to do in a way. Like a lot of people, that's how like, everybody moves. It's a little wait and explode, wait and explode. And for me, it's like very explosive, and my style is very agile with a lot of movements, kind of a Dominic Cruz in a way, but with long range, long reach and everything. And my in and out game is really, basically no one can match my in and out game. But it goes down to the next round that follows, it constantly keep going where, hey, I can't wait as long. Hey, I can't do this as long. Hey, I got to do this or I got to do that. So it's basically like it's a full ass chess game at 35, and with that whole weight cut, it's like if you place it as a bar, it's one of those. Okay, I did one explosive move. All right, I did another explosive move. All right, and then it gets to this moment of I'm not tired, but you start seeing they no much is, or you don't end up seeing a lot of explosiveness. You start seeing more technique, and then the technique can end up kicking in. Now it's just that we got to keep it at bay, or etc. It's like a big part of a game that can end up becoming a crushing, or it can make you. It's like one of those things. And then since I'm so explosive, best thing that majority of the fighters were fighting me with, like Chris Gutierrez and my last match with the old dude, they just kept the distance. All right, let me just stay away from them. And so now I'm explosive, but there's no, they're not nowhere in sight. And then now when the explosiveness ends up basically tapering down, it became more of a pig and boxing match type thing, or a kickboxing match of sparring. So, and then on a majority of like sparring, some people might get a little bit better hand for like 30 seconds or et cetera, just like this. When I was with Chris, I was winning the first round. And then one split second, I fell into an awkward partial takedown, and I got a shin to the face. Stumbled out to the feet, not hurt, flash knockdown, but they gave him the round. Not, so everything I did for 4 minutes and 4 minutes and 50 seconds all went, to the trash, and that little flash knockdown won him the round. So it's like little small things like that, like little details can end up changing the game,
For sure. Were you able to put on any muscle going up to featherweight?
Oh, definitely. And the funny thing is like I always end up having muscle when I'm cutting down to 35. Like I always stop at 45, and everybody be like, this is where I hear all the compliments and stuff. Like, man, you're really strong. Man, you hit hard. Man, you looking big. Yo, yeah, you looking like you're in shape. And that's at 45. And then in the back of my head is like, shit, I still got 10 more pounds to go. Like, so you could take it as it is. Like, yeah, I'm super strong, but you still got to cut the extra 10 pounds. Like right now I'm hearing it like, hey, Dre, yeah, you're strong and you're solid at 54. And I already know when I get to 45, it's not as bad because I'm used to cutting to 35. So when I get to 45, be 100%. And then now I only get the gain. I'll probably end up rehydrating up about 8 pounds. So I'll be walking around about 54, where when I'm normally, like I said, that's like my perfect fight weight is at 54.
You fear that you might be undersized for the bigger featherweights that are cutting down to get to featherweight? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could say that, but the thing is, everybody that I end up training with are all heavier than me. Like, hell, I just posted a video of me working with Jalen, and like, on the hands, he always works with me. I work with him, like the whole thing. I'm picking his brain. He sees what I don't see, Like me and him have a very similar style. So certain things I feel like it does work for me, and it does, but it doesn't work with him. So he ends up breaking down, hey, this is what this can do, and then I have my head coach, Tony, that's overviewing it. And then when I'm done with all that, the next following day, I go up there and clean everything up with my boxing with my brother, So it's everything that's automatically getting broken down. It's well prepared for, for these people that are so-called heavier than me, and like points to my cousins, like, we ended up changing things, but keeping it the same is just adding more weight for me. Like I move with heavier guys every time, even when I end up moving with my professor. It's all the time. It ain't nothing new. It's just that it's the factors in when you get tired. When you get tired, this is where that moment of techniques needs to, kick up or get in, or, that whole nine. If it doesn't work, that means you just haven't cleaned up the little small technique parts. But lucky for me, I'd be working on my little small techniques.
Gotcha. So for your featherweight debut, you sure didn't get a layup. You got Charles Jourdain.
Hey, and I'm not mad at it. That was a fight that I've been like asking for since like last year. I'm a fan of the guy, so him and his style. Um, I'm not sure how he feels about me, but I definitely do tell you that I am a fan of the dude's explosive hand movement and striking, And then the funny thing is he's a black belt. So it's like, hey, I'll take it hand in hand. And I think that's a perfect fight for me to basically let people know where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think your fight actually could easily be fight of the night. I think a lot of people are circling it like this fight's gonna be a fucking banger. How do you like the matchup with Jourdain?
Definitely like the matchup. Definitely like it. I feel that my striking is better, and I feel like I'm more explosive than him. And he's probably over saying the same thing, but and I also believe he thinks I'm just a brawler, and that's like the best fucking best picture frame of everything. Everybody thinks I'm a brawler, but it's just nah. I'm actually a basically efficient striker. I'll go ahead and say that. I just brawl when I know I need to brawl, or and it's more in the brawling part, or hey, I'm down to go. It's for the fans, and and I'm a fan pleaser. No matter how you end up looking at it, this is how I got in here. Is because I didn't keep it. I didn't allow it to be boring. Because no one likes to watch something boring, and I hate it if it's fucking it's boring. So it's let me please you guys, and me pleasing you guys pleases myself because I feed off of the screams and yells and everything like that. So knockouts is where it goes at. So me versus him, it's 100%, and I'm gonna treat every round like it's the first round. So definitely gonna be at his neck. So there it is.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of alluded to it, but how do you see the fight going? And do you have a prediction?
My prediction and how it's going, like I stated, I'm treating every round like the first round. So I'm gonna say first round. So if somehow we fall in the second round, just know it's the first round, right? It's the first round. I'm gonna be in there like I told you so. Even if like, well, but it's third. Hey, I told you it's first round, baby. That's what automatically placed in my head. I am going to basically put on like a striking clinic, and I'm going to force him to try to wrestle me, and I get to end up using my other weapons, but that's where it's going to draw into me basically putting them down.
Do you feel like you're fighting for your job next week?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I feel I'm safe. And I know a lot of people end up saying, yeah, this or that. But at the end of the day, you love what you do. Hey, you'll do what you have to do, and things will end up always occurring where it needs to be placed. And I know a lot of people are already wishing to get out because everybody else is paying like millions of dollars. But I like the UFC, man. I don't believe that I'm fighting for my job. I feel like I'm fighting basically for my family and, the same thing of looking good while I'm out there.
How important is it to you to finally get your first UFC finish and live up to the Mr. Highlight?
Oh, 100% feeling excited about it, And granted that I don't like the name, like everybody still keeps using it, and I'm not mad at it. It's like, all right, it is what it is. But like you said, I got to end up living up to it. Normally I get the highlights, but I need the knockouts to, solidify what's going on. And I'm gonna end up making that happen in this fight. I'm gonna definitely make it happen. Definitely gonna end up putting the work in because I already put the work in, and I'm putting extra small little details to, fine polish what's going on with me. So I'm gonna make it happen.
Who originally gave you that nickname?
The people, yeah. I put it up. I had to put it a poll in. I used to go by Afro Monkey, and it was like, yeah, they might not be able to say that and stuff like that. So it got deep, and I'm like, all right, all right, all right, I'll just leave it up to the people, in this majority of like Brazil and California, like, because that's like majority of where my fans are at. They're like, yeah, what do you guys think of a name? And I had like 3 different names, or 3 to 4 different names, and Mr. Highlight came out. And I already know why they end up picking Highlight out of all of it is because I always posted highlights of, of all my victories, of knockouts and stuff like that, or finishes. So they're like, yeah, we'll just call him Highlight because he's always putting highlights together. So that's only why they picked it. But then later on, it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't even like that name. And just at that moment, it doesn't even like fit with me. They'd be like, Mr. Highlight. I'd be looking around like, who won? Like, like, and then they put my arm up and I'm like, okay, it's me, And that's what they did with Henry Brown. Like, all right, yeah, we got to end up changing this name. So I normally like to go, if it ain't Afro Monkey, call me Willie Beeman. If people don't know about that, that's, the quarterback, AKA from Even Given Sundays, Jamie Foxx. That's me, Willie Beeman. I like that. Next week, they'll probably start calling me Quick Draw, because I'm going to be definitely quick with the draw, Outlaws with my cowboy hat. I'm bringing that out, So, yeah, I can end up constantly keep going. They call me Dragon Fist because my hands have been blessed by the dragons, holy water style, hell, like I said, Mr. Entertainment. I'm definitely entertaining. You'll never you'll never fail when you come watch me fight. You'll be like, all right, he puts on the show. Like I said, I can keep going, I can keep on going. But hell, even dragon fruit. I constantly keep drinking this dang drink for all day. Starbucks, man.
Where did your big afro come from?
One of my personalities. I'll go ahead and sit there and say that. Granted that I won't be wearing it for this one. Like I said, I'm about to bring out the cowboy hat for this one. But yeah, the afro, and I even have like a perm / afro. So it's like two different personalities where I'm eventually going to make I'm going to say like a short film, maybe a movie or something. And that's going to be like a character of two twins, that they'll be like two twins. In reality, is actually one person, but they don't know it. You just see what they see, and it's a twin brother. One's evil, one's good. And like if it becomes a movie at the end, they'll find out as it was him being crazy in his whole head. Everything was in his head this whole time. So I think it'll kind of, bring a little spark into, me filming in the future.
I like that. I just got two other things for you, man. So I kind of want to know, like, if you were frustrated because last year last year you were going to fight Cody Stamann, and that was your shot into the rankings, right?
True.
That fight doesn't get booked, and then you lose two in a row, and it's just like, dude, like you had all this momentum, and then it's just like, how frustrating is that?
Definitely frustrating. Definitely. Just practicing with me and Cody how it was supposed to happen. And I granted, like, the whole COVID thing happened. And I showed no signs, retested. It was a false negative type thing or false positive type thing. But that's why they allowed me to fight the following week. And it was supposed to be me and him. And we could have actually had co-main event if he would have accepted it. But, and which means co-main event means a little bit more better on the pay with the sponsors and everything, But he didn't want it. He wanted to stay on the card then and find out that his card didn't fall out. Granted, I feel like that's still a fight in the future. And if he moves up or if I have to come down again just to fight him, like I'll go down to 35 for big fights. Like, that's it would be a big fight. But as of right now, clearly 45 is now, and Jourdain is the picture at this moment. But it was very frustrating that he didn't get that. And I guess you could just say like something I must have done or something in the universe happened because karma ended up flipping because I win two and then I lose two. And, now we're onto this where I got to end up making that big change and everything, which I will. And I think it was more of a sign of I should have moved up weight in the first place because that whole thing was, I even asked, like I even told them to tell them like, hey, we can go up to 45 if you feel like, you were cutting. And since you didn't fight, it should have been placed with you and I the following week, So I was already talking about moving up and it was just a sign of, hey, you need to move up. And I just didn't do it on the right time, but now I'm up. So that's all that matters is that I'm up now.
And then finally, I just wanted to get your thoughts on two fights that are happening next week. The main event, Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. And then I'm guessing it's going to be the co-main event, but Wonder Boy Thompson versus Bilal Muhammad. What are your thoughts on those two fights?
I'm always a fan of Wonder Boy, so I never bet against him. I even want to train with him. I'm going to end up like talking to him, because he's really good. I know my style is very similar to his. He has a lot more kicks, and I think by me going to him or to his gym, I can probably like pick up a lot of great tricks from him. So I'm a big fan of Wonder Boy. Never bet against him, so my money's on him if I had it, which I do have it. But if I was a betting man, I'll bet on Wonder Boy. And I never end up betting against Derek Lewis. even if the cards are stacked against him, never bet against him. So I'm always on his side. Cool beats to him. Me and him still gonna have to end up fighting, so I'll probably call him out after this fight. After my fight, I'm gonna call him out. Me and Derek still got to throw hands. But shout out to him. So I'm always gonna want him to win until he fights me. I'm putting him in a headlock. There you go.
Makes sense. Actually, I lied. I got one more. Since I got you with your shirt off, I wanted you to kind of talk about your tattoos, because I've actually never talked to you about your tattoos, and you have some of the best in the UFC.
See, Alex, man, you the man. And hands down, I am definitely with the whole culture with the Japanese style. Big fan, grew up watching nothing but them. They basically, I could go ahead and say they partially saved my life of watching everything that, growing up, what they do and stuff like that. They definitely kept my head focused. So the chess piece, with the whole dream, don't say dream catchers, but they do fight off your nightmares with the Arnie mask and everything, and then clearly the lotus of, something from a dark place, and which is like dirty dirt. I said dirty dirt, but yeah, like, a dirty place, but it blossomed something beautiful, and I became from, not the best place in the world, and I understand a lot of people end up saying stuff like that, but like I said, the people that have been around and knowing about us, they know that we have always been good-hearted. Like my family, where I'm at, and with everybody that's with me, we always been good, and we been placed in like bad awkward positions, like, when I sit there and say, like, I saw people get murdered in front of me type thing, or people getting robbed. I got robbed, gunpoint type thing, to the moment, like, you had to fight for your life and stuff like that. So it's like not the best place, but I've been through all that, and I blossomed out to being something, and a face for everything. And then a lot of people end up looking up to me, or they always give me love because they know where I came from. They know I try to make a difference, and they know that I'm always been good to everybody. And that's even through the dark times, or, going up. So like all, hell, even the inside of the tattoo, and my version of, or their version of the Black Widow, if anything, or their version of one, the Black Widow, or Medusa. You end up falling for somebody, and they end up giving you something else, and they turn you to stone, or they break you, or whatever the case is, they kill you in their own version. And for me, this tattoo is always going to remind me of every woman that broke my heart. So like every tattoo that's on me, everything, it blossoms with meaning. And like I said, I grew up with it and watching it, and I know they say, hey, it's more than just anime and cartoons and stuff. And to me, it's been more than just that. It's been life-changing of where I've been. Like I said, I was one of those kids that did not talk to people. I was always keeping to myself because we always moved a lot, So, and I always ended up finding the school bullies. So fighting was always embedded in me, and it was one of those, you had to defend yourself, and if you don't, hey, you're gonna get your ass whooped when you get home. Or hey, you got to make sure your brother or your sisters are okay. I had to take the adult route already from the early age. So my friends was my brother and my sister, but at the same time, I didn't commingle. So it was TV that was helping me out, and like Dragon Ball Z growing up, or, like I say, it's deep to this moment that everything cultured I kind of like adopted it, if anything, kind of like how Batman was, with Bane, you merely adopted the dark. But me, I was born in the dark. Like, that was me. Like, I might have adopted, but at the same time, I was raised up in that version. So there you go. So all the tattoos that ends up floating, it's kind of like embracing my inner core of life. How I look at it.
Love that. It's deep. It's heavy. What's the middle one? The writing.
Oh, this is Yahweh. Yahweh in Hebrew. Nothing but love to if anybody that does believe or don't, he's definitely there watching, and kind of like end up placing it there, right there in the middle for me. And I was a true believer, and I ended up losing myself, and ended up blossoming out by understanding different cultures and stuff like that. Like I was basically, I don't want to say I'm still partially like a studying the Buddhism life of styles of being happy and being cultural with smiles and bringing nothing but blessings and stuff like that. And I like 100% believe in the karma. And that's why I said I win 2, and then somehow it flipped and I lose 2. And now it's me being positive and flipping it again, you know. I'm at a 50% ratio at this moment, and I got to end up increasing that by becoming a winner. And especially since I'm moving up, it's my debut. So I got to end up winning that. But yeah, so in Hebrew, it says Yahweh. So nothing but love to him.
You can kind of think of it as your bantamweight debut, you beat a former champion, right? And now your featherweight debut, you're gonna show up again, right?
I'm gonna definitely show up, and I'm gonna end up finishing it. Cause that was one thing when I fight him, I should have finished them, but I didn't end up finishing them. And the people in the world knew I could have ended up finishing, but hey, little small hiccups and end up changing it. So new weight, new me, back to being basically awesome.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Andre. I love talking to you. I love your story, and yeah, man, it's just so awesome. If you want to plug your social media, plug your sponsors, the floor is yours.
Hey, I know granted as in all the sponsors and everything, but if you Team Ewell, it's Team Ewell. So everybody, to all of them, Team Ewell. And shout out to Dodge Sports, my managing group, and everybody, even Mike, that ended up making all this happen. And Alex, thank you for honestly having me, brother. And, you know, starting me off with a laugh. So that was like, hey, 100%, probably definitely my favorite interview. So I appreciate you.
Awesome, Jay. Good luck next weekend.
All right. Thank you, brother.